So I think we can go ahead and call to order. Good evening, and welcome to the Commission for the Arts March meeting. At 4:59. And
Let the record show all commissioners are present.
Right. So we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And any special presentations or proclamations?
There are none.
And likewise, I'm assuming for oral communications.
There are no oral communications today.
And likewise, no changes to the agenda.
There are no changes to the posted agenda.
Great. So we'll move on to item 7, approval of the minutes. Was everyone able to read them, and any comments, or would someone like to motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
I'll second.
There was a reminder that if you were not present at the last meeting, but you did watch the video, you can vote, but otherwise you cannot vote. You must abstain. So that was, okay. Let the record show the motion passes with all commissioners voting yes.
Thank you. And just to comment, we're happy to have you both here tonight as staff. Colette is away, and so we're lucky to have Jess Roberts and Britt Nemero here for the reports and any questions. Okay, so we'll move on to the action items number 8. And to begin, it is that time of year where nominations for chair and vice chair are made. So it's a year-long term. There are no term limits as far as consecutive years or number of years that someone can serve. So first we'll do chair, and the process is that someone can be nominated. If there's only one nomination and someone else agrees, then I think that is how it goes. And then if there's more than one nomination, it would go to a vote, and the same for the vice chair. So we'll start with the chair. Does anyone have a nomination?
Sure. I would like to nominate you to continue being chair.
Second?
Thank you. Would anyone else? Are there any other nominations? Okay.
Okay, so if there are no other nominations, the position as chair is yours, so congratulations. Chair Fox, you are now the new chair.
Okay. Well, thank you all for your confidence, and I'll continue.
Did we ask if you wanted to do it? I guess you don't get a choice.
We'll leave that unsaid. No, I'm really happy to do it, and it's been a learning process and also fun. And I think feel so. I think we've all grown together already in the year that we've been together, and we'll get stronger and stronger. And so it's a certain amount of continuum is effective. So thank you. Yeah. And now moving on to vice chair. Is there a nomination for vice chair? I'll go ahead and nominate Jennifer to continue being vice chair, unless there is another nomination or if someone else is interested.
I'd like to nominate Jennifer also.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
so you were the first and you were the second for that? And you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess I don't have to get up.
Yeah, well, congratulations then. If there are no other nominations,
Okay.
then the position as vice chair is yours. Congratulations, Commissioner Marakovitz. You are now the vice chair.
Thank you.
Okay. So we will move on. Hello, Rosemary. To action item 8B, and this is the meeting dates for the Commission for the Arts for this year in 2026. I think the only thing here to point out really is just that the first Monday in September would be Labor Day, and so the meeting has been suggested that it be that Tuesday. Is that right? If I'm remembering.
Are there any other suggested days that we could do? Because when I get a 4-date, that's going to be a crazy week for me. But-
That's so. I think what we can do is see if there's another day that week, or so. It's just about finding a room
Right.
when chambers are empty. So if there's a date that works for all of us, we could then ask staff to review and see if that date is available and come back to us in April. And we can go ahead and vote on the rest of the dates so that we can have an April meeting, and all of the rest are on the regular Monday. And then in April, kind of hammer down the meeting in September. But is that Tuesday, September 2nd, a challenge for multiple commissioners? Is it a challenge for anybody else?
It's not a challenge for me. It's my wedding anniversary.
Oh,
I'll have
what
my husband.
fun.
I'll just have him come here. We
What
planned
more
it.
would you want to
We
do?
planned it many years ago to have that long weekend, and we'll spend it at a commission meeting. I have no problem with it, though.
Okay. I guess I would say if everyone but one is okay with it, then we could move forward and
I have no
so
problem.
it goes. Okay. Okay. Then let's go ahead and vote to approve the proposed meeting dates for 2025 and 2026. Is there? I'll make that a motion. And is there a second?
I'll second.
Let the record show the motion to approve the proposed meeting dates for fiscal year 2025-26 passes with all commissioners voting yes.
Thank you. Okay, so then we'll move on to the work plan. We have a fair amount here to do with that. And the first thing is just to see if there are any updates from any of the ad hocs. Just kind of a quick any work that's been done in the last month that needs to be shared.
Maybe I'll share about the piano competition.
Sure.
I know that we'll hear more about it, but we're entering. This is the month. This is the month they're going to have the prelim competition, and I think that I'm getting excited. So there's been a lot of work and networking, and somehow my Instagram is growing because of that. But and I'm not that interesting person, but I think that I've been like shooting it out there. So hopefully we'll have some good results.
It's very exciting. That's awesome. The Sculpture Loan Program also has met with the city, just with staff, and gotten some more feedback. And we're kind of tightening the presentation that we shared and we'll come back in April, hopefully just attach that. Maybe won't like go through the whole presentation again, but have eyes and questions, and hopefully get that then to vote to share with council. So that's the trajectory there. And any other updates as far as, and we'll go through the bylaws and all of that, but just the quick ones. Okay. So from there, we can go ahead and review the bylaws. So this all, it's funny that that this is kind of the first time that the full commission has had eyes on this. It started in 2024 with the workshop with multiple commissions in the Parks and Recs. And then I think that was kind of a exciting workshop, and Dave Knopp, the director, and other members of the Parks and Recs Commission, the Senior Commission, and us maybe thought that we're excited about the scope and maybe the creative aspect to it. And as we worked on it more, and Dave met with the city attorney, and we all kind of became more familiar with actually what bylaws were and the service that they provide, it's a little less sexy. Nonetheless, there was a lot of work that the ad hoc did on it, and like very strong work, really good ideas. The Senior Commission put together a draft that went to the city attorney, and that language was approved. And so we were then able to use that as a template for some of the language. And the Parks and Recs Department is hoping to have have all of the commissions have pretty similar bylaws, except for specific, reasons why they shouldn't be the same, obviously. So we plugged that in. We met again with Dave Knopp, and then this is the draft. So the hope is that we can discuss it, see if there's any glaring things that the ad hoc didn't think of, or and if so, we can make additions. If there's nothing that is just like, wow, cannot believe we didn't think of that, then I would suggest that we move forward with a vote to send it to City Council or to the attorney. Dave wasn't completely clear about the exact dates of when the draft was going to go to the city attorney, but all of the language, since it's a legal document, needs to be approved. So that may be happening, and then if any edits or changes need to be made, it could go through that process again. The more streamlined process would be to vote on it tonight. So I just want to open it up to the rest of you and hear your feedback. If anyone has any.
Yeah, I'd just like to, I guess, reiterate what we were saying. So the senior council or commission was very studious, and they got it done like first or something, and they got it done, and that kind of provided like the prototype, and it was a nice, neat package, and we initially as an ad hoc we went through. I mean, like we racked our brains and we thought of like every possible thing, but then it came down to what really is a bylaw and not like some extra stuff. And we did tinker with the idea of having like maybe an addendum or something like that. What do you think of that? The addendum, like with commission for the arts specific info.
So
Are we going to still?
We put in all of the specific Commission for the Arts language into this document that is here, the draft document. There were a few things such as a city org chart that we had suggested be put in. Dave was excited about that, And then at the same time, he just realized that that didn't seem quite right for the bylaws, and it also wasn't formatting correctly. But that would be included in a new commissioner handbook for during an orientation, which I'm sure all of us are privy to as well. So yeah, any of those ideas that didn't make it in here, I can't think of the other ones. There's other places for them.
I just had a quick question because I attended that initial, kind of kickoff meeting. There was some talk about commissioner do's and don'ts or some kind of guidelines for, say, like sharing something on social media. Did that come back around as an issue to tackle?
It did, and actually there's like a one-liner about it that the city attorney thought was enough.
Okay.
It's under section 2, duties of each commissioner member. F, commissioners shall not represent the city in any official capacity in any media format unless otherwise authorized by the department director or their designee. So that kind of covered social media, it covered being out in public, and then there were also that idea of what do you call it? I'm sorry, my mind is just blanking on conflicts of interest.
Oh, yeah. And so, and that makes sense. And so does that kind of clarify that we, as commissioners, even in this meeting, we're not representing the city? Like, is that the line? It's like, we really are volunteer citizens and we don't represent the city, we just act as citizens to make recommendations?
I think it's clear that we are volunteers, that we are, approved by council, recommended by council, and appointed by mayor. And the duties are kind of, where responsibilities are laid out.
Yeah, I think that answers my question.
I think so. I think these are all good points. Again, the bylaws are more about how we function. And so it kind of lays out like the organization of our meeting and the different steps. And I do believe the word ambassador is in here. It's not a rewriting of the ordinance. So the ordinance kind of lays out what is the commission, what's the mission of the commission, and what are the foci of the commission. And so I feel like in the ordinance is maybe more detailed and relevant to your point.
Gotcha. Okay.
But does that
Yeah.
answer?
Yeah. It just was like something that was discussed a lot in that meeting, so I just kind of wondered where it landed here. But yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
I have a question. I see special meetings are kind of mentioned in section 8, number 2, or number 3. It just says any meeting other than a regular meeting is a special meeting. I know we haven't had any special meetings. I don't know, is that something to add more information about? Why would we have a special meeting, or how could we have a special meeting? What are the rules about a special meeting? It just seems like, I don't know how often they come up and if we would want to have one, but I'm not sure if that's something that's missing.
It's a good question. A special meeting in that sense that it is any meeting. So like the Tuesday that will be a special meeting because it doesn't happen on the first Monday of the month, for
Right.
instance.
Then
for that sense of why we would call a special meeting and the kind of defining the tool of a special meeting and how we could use it.
The reason why I'm bringing this up is for the sculpture loan program, we considered having a special meeting to go over the results and to think about which sculptures we wanted to put forward. And so just kind of maybe fleshing that out as an idea.
Yeah, we can we can certainly ask.
So are you saying like for number 3, 8.3, it says any meeting other than a regular meeting is considered to be a special meeting. Are you looking to have special meeting more defined?
I'm just asking the question because, we're just wondering if there was anything that was absent, and me not knowing what that is, or how to call it, or how it's used, or I was wondering if that was potentially something we might want to add more information on.
I think that's valid.
Really good idea.
Just to lay that out. Hmm.
In the future, if we ever do need something special, then we'll have a way to go about getting it. And I think that will help us in the long run.
The way that special meetings are called is that we can request to have one, and then if staff has an available date, we can have one. It's an expense to the city and staff time and the room, and so they're suggested to be kept at a minimum. There's also a sense of not to be kept at a minimum, but to use them, when they're truly needed, and that if a topic comes up where there needs to be a meeting held in a timely on a matter that really is time sensitive, then that would be called also. Like that, a special meeting could happen by everyone being emailed and saying, hey, can you meet at this date? Yes, okay, 3 days from now we will have a special meeting. And it has to be publicly announced and posted, the agenda posted, just like our regular meetings. But that is not laid out here. And so I don't see why that wouldn't be part, because it is very process oriented. I think that's a good addition. I think I'm trying to think. So there's that's that note. Any other notes like that? Also, Robin, just to go kind of circle back and address your question, when we were coming up with the draft, we had a lot of like very detailed things. For instance, I said, for when new commissioners come on, I want to have the chair meet with them, answer any questions. And Dave said that the attorney said that things like that, you can't enforce and you can't make someone who's in a certain role do something. And so so likewise, as far as defining the roles in those ways, it's a little bit more just process, rules, how we function, all of those things. But that there are lots of places in the orientation, and I did request from staff that we be part of the process of coming up with some ideas for orientation, clarifying how to kind of get people on board more quickly and more clearly. Why don't we take another minute or so, make sure that there's no other points. I'm assuming everyone had a chance to spend a little time with this document already at home. Not at home, but not here. Well, as you finish looking over and deciding, I think one option for moving forward is that we could vote to send this to City Council with the caveat that language be added around how special meetings occur, how they're called, and timeline and the like. Does that sound?
That sounds good.
That's all language that the attorney would have to approve, and so I feel confident that we could still work with Dave on that, but that it could move forward still if everything else looks good. Okay.
Okay, when you're ready to vote, can you restate the motion?
Yeah.
Just so it's clear.
Is everyone ready? Yeah, okay. So I would say to vote for the recommendation to submit this draft of the Commission for the Arts bylaws to the city attorney and to City Council for their approval, pending the addition of a line item addressing special meetings and the process by which they are called. Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, who gave the first motion?
So Chair Fox, I
It
gave
was
the
Chair
first
Fox.
motion. And Commissioner Romer seconded.
Okay. Okay. Let the record show the motion passes with all commissioners voting yes.
And also, just to call it out, that was something that I wanted the whole commission to be more involved in that process, and it just the way that it worked, we weren't able to get it onto the agendas. Nonetheless, I think it's really exciting that we just did that. That is the first time that bylaws exist for this commission. In the history of the commission. So well done. And just as far as that feeling of accomplishment, it's pretty cool to have a document, that has all of our names on it as a standing document that can help this body be as effective as possible.
Yeah. Thank you to the ad hoc that worked on that.
Yeah. Okay, so we will move on to discuss a request from the Encinitas project for inclusion in our 2025-26 work plan draft. And can we pull up that document, please? Thank you. Let me just pull it up for myself here too. It's not in order. So this is also something that's really exciting. The Encinitas project, this letter came in from Ross Ritter, who is the chair of the Parks and Recs Commission. He is also the president of the Encinitas project, and I also do sit on the board. And so it's, as the letter says, this is a non-for-profit that was established in 1998. It did some, with the kind of dedicated to Parks and Recs, but not to the full department. So it was more supportive of Parks and Recreation and supporting and advocating for parks and fundraising. And then they did, as the letter says, do you guys want me to read the letter out loud? Okay. And then with COVID, it kind of fell dormant. And then Brad Hansen, who is also on the Parks and Recs Commission, kind of kept it afloat, which was very awesome. And then decided to invite new board members and shift the focus from being solely parks oriented to also include arts and culture. So the process then of establishing a larger board, which is continuing to grow, has been very cool to be a part of. Everyone on it is like amazingly dedicated and varied skill sets, and very excited to fundraise, to be able to, apply for grants, and also really advocate in the city. And it is unlike other non-for-profits, which the city is so lucky to have. This one is cool because it's wholly dedicated to this department. It's not about having events otherwise. So it's really just a way of helping to support all of the initiatives that the department needs help with. So this letter came in and basically asking if we can, if the Encinitas project can become a line item in our work plan under arts advocacy. The language here can be changed and may even have to be changed. When I spoke with Colette, she's fully in support of this. It's just that the language, again, with the city attorney may need to be, it might have to be commissioners will work with staff instead of collaborate with staff. And other than that, so yeah, but this letter came in from Ross. I know it's being sent to our commission, to the senior commission, and the youth commission, and really hoping that then an ad hoc can be formed, and just as a better bridge to help establish what needs the department has, what needs the commission thinks should be worked on, and yeah.
This is really exciting. This is great news. Yeah, I think it would be an excellent idea to add this to our work plan.
I was just wondering, can you scroll up, Jamie? Thank you. Just a couple sentences. So yeah, I think it's a great idea. So how would that look on the work plan? How would it be worded? Like it says, our fundraising is intended to supplement the funding for the blah, 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 projects, equipment programs, scholarship. So how would they would be approached? Like, do we say, oh, we're planning this thing. Can you investigate scholarships, or can you, so how would the wording be on the work plan? What are we doing to accomplish? What we look to accomplish?
The second, on the second page of his letter, there is a suggested work plan language.
Okay.
So it says, commissioners will collaborate with staff to recommend projects and needs that could be met with aid from the Encinitas project.
Sorry, I didn't.
And will support the Encinitas project in their efforts to explore grant funding and other fundraising opportunities. As ambassadors for city arts and culture initiatives, commissioners will participate in community outreach events and promote the Encinitas Project's 2025 launch to the public. So I think that's enough to kind of cover the bases. Again, I'm okay with this language. I'm also okay changing this language if we want to draft some language when we get to that part of the work plan draft. And then it may need to be changed a little bit before, just legal wise.
Yeah, I also think it's a good thing to include because it really works in the funding, part of things. That would be maybe something that's just established where when we have a funding need or a program that needs support, that we could maybe have an ad hoc that works with the Encinitas project to see if there's opportunities to work together to secure that funding. I think the only part of the language that I might change is the last sentence, because I don't know if that's maybe a conflict of interest. I don't know how that works for the Arts Commission. But I could see there certainly being overlaps and collaboration. So,
I have another question. Does the Encinitas project, do they hold regular meetings?
The board holds monthly meetings.
So would the ad hoc, or maybe somebody from the ad hoc, be attending meetings as well? Or
Perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. They may be invited to the meeting or at least a portion of the meeting. And then there might be other meetings. There's kind of subcommittees of the board with different topics. So if those subcommittees were working on something that then the ad hoc needed help with or had input for. But yeah, I think that it would be, the lines of communication are open. And also just to throw it out there, City Council also seems very enthusiastic about the Encinitas project. At the, the March 26th City Council meeting, I know Dave Knopp was discussing a potential park, and City Council, Jim O'Hara was asking some questions about public and private partnership. And so Dave Knopp mentioned the Encinitas project as a way forward with that. And I guess I haven't watched the meeting, but I've heard that the council was like very enthusiastic about that as an option. And the Encinitas project is submitting a proposal for an MOU with the city in just a few weeks, I believe. So I think it'll go to their March 26th meeting. Yeah, it was the February 26th that City Council was excited about it. The MOU should go to Council on March 26th. So it's very, there's been a lot of forward movement, and it's been really cool just to see how tight of a board and like how much is getting done as far as all of the documents in a row. There's, work being done. It hasn't gone public yet. There's no website, there's no branding yet. So I think that's why I have not spoken of it at any of our meetings. And so there's real excitement to get that ready so that by the time people are talking about it, there's a place to land.
Thanks, and yeah, thank you for your role in helping bring this aboard. It does sound really exciting. I had just a couple questions. I wasn't completely clear on whether, because you mentioned something about this being devoted solely to this department, but it sounds as though they would still make funds available to Parks and Rec projects, and then you mentioned the other commissions as well, so it's not strictly an
So
arts.
this department is Parks, Recs, and
Oh,
Cultural
department.
Arts.
Okay,
Yep.
I'm sorry. You're using kind of the language that city.
Yeah,
yeah,
So
okay.
it's supporting the city department, Encinitas City Department.
Okay, got it. And where I'm curious, since you have some connection with them, like where their funding, historically has come from. I mean, it's great that they're able to find it, especially because, as Robin mentioned, it's something we're always looking for. So, but I'm wondering, yeah.
Yeah, I know they've gotten individual donations and a few grants.
Yeah.
And then, again, with this kind of rebranding and reinvigorating process, it's really been getting ready to launch, and then fundraising will come again, I believe, through, fundraising efforts to speak with businesses, individuals, organizations, and grants.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, it's a non-for-profit organization, so it's all tax exempt, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, just to circle back, I don't think I fully addressed Robin's question about the second part of the language. As ambassadors for city arts and cultural initiatives, commissioners will participate in community outreach events. I think that in some ways it's a really great way, because it would be showing how connected the Encinitas project is to the city and the avenues of understanding need. And then also it's a great way for the commission. We do have on our draft, like the pop-up, for instance. But this would be another way of showing up at city events or any events and kind of being, wearing our badge and saying, this is the Arts Commission, and being able to share about city initiatives and flyers and all of that sort of stuff at the same time.
I was more referring to just the promote the Encinitas Project's 2025 launch to the public. That was my only question about a conflict of interest, as far as like if we as commissioners are allowed to do that. That would just be a question, I think, to city staff. But I think it makes good sense if we were collaborating with this organization on a specific project, or like you say, like doing tabling, it would be a natural thing to cross-promote. Yeah, I think I just want clarification on that.
I do know, it's part of the MOU that they're working on with the city, but the city's branding is very excited to promote the Encinitas project and have it be part of their print material and likewise. And so I'm not thinking of any conflict of interest as far as that's concerned, just because the Encinitas project is its own organization. It's not the city, but it's supported by the city. So I don't see any conflict as far as us talking about it, and the more people that know about it and the more money that they can raise or direct toward the department, the better all of our work can be.
Yeah, makes sense.
So if this adds, it'll add an entire section in, will the tasks be like discrete tasks, or will this ad hoc just be 3 people that will cover the whole project, and the whole Encinitas project would just be filled by 3 people, or can we make it so that you have that as the higher level and then more discrete items as ad hocs? Has that been determined?
I think the hope, reading this letter and having spoken to Ross, is that there is a dedicated ad hoc for this work, just so that there can really be some robust work done on it. I had the same question of is it better if it just all and not an ad hoc, so that everyone can participate?
Yeah.
But I also know kind of the nature of ad hocs is so that work can get done and things can move forward. So I would say that that's something that ad hoc could probably swap out yearly, unless there's an ongoing specific project. But kind of like the visual arts panel, those things, one year it can be done, and then the next year someone else can come on. And then as far as people attending events and volunteering and all of that, it could still be, multiple people from the commission.
I think it's really interesting to have this collaboration, and that if we put it on our work plan, that we're supporting them, and they'll be supporting our group. But I'd also like to learn how they would prioritize funding for, say, different parks and recs and bike walks and things like that, and how they would prioritize the need and the balance. Is it going to be based on, if the Art Commission helps bring in money? Is it funded towards arts, or is there any?
I think a lot of those questions are still open-ended right now. I know that the gist is that they want, as many small wins in the beginning as possible. And lucky for the arts, there's a lot of small wins in the arts. So as easy as we need paint brushes for this class at Pacific View, then the Encinitas project can bring money and can go buy them and drop them off, as opposed to right now, which is not really possible as far as if people want to donate to the city. It's a little bit more complicated. So this just simplifies it. I believe, the structure of how the Encinitas project works is something that's still being determined, but I know that it's, again, probably going to be something like if you land on a web page and there's a thing to donate to arts, donate to parks, donate to, and that people will put money where they want to and not have too many options. And then there will be specific projects as well. So how things will be prioritized, I'm not exactly sure, but the Encinitas project has asked for lists from all of the staff members of each department of needs. And so then I think the board will just look at those needs and make some decisions about them.
So the board is not only commissioners, it's got people other than commissioners involved.
Yes. He lists all of the members, and there's potentially some new members coming on as well.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. I remember watching the last meeting at home, and so there was a little bit of mention about. I remember you had asked Colette, I think, about the like the Friends of the Arts, and so how would this work out? I guess she said something like. Her response was that they'd have to check the MOU or something like that. So it seems like there's a few different kinds of like nonprofits that are sort of along the same lines, about the arts and things like that. How would we, or how would the city, prioritize or decide who to have and who not to work with, or something like that in a given season? Because some others might come forward. Oh, I want to work with you. I want to work with you. So.
Well, I think it's a great point. Again, what defines the Encinitas project here is that they've written a letter to the commission asking to be included in our work plan. No other non-for-profit this year or in the year past has done so directly. The other answer is that currently I don't think any other non-for-profits have an MOU with the city directly with the arts. The Encinitas Friends of the Arts did, but I don't know that it's still present, no. And then a second portion of that is that I do know that it's very important to the Encinitas project to be very transparent and not be redundant. And so Ross and myself actually met with Naomi of the Encinitas Friends of the Arts and just wanted to let her know, like, this is what we're doing. We're not competing. If there's points of collaboration, that would be awesome. And again, the Encinitas project is solely focused on this city department. It's not doing anything else. And so in that way, it's fairly straightforward as far as the Encinitas Friends of the Arts does incredible work for the city and also incredible work on their own, but their focus is not the same. So I think in that way, I don't feel that there's any areas of conflict really. But it's a great one to ask.
Another quick question. I was trying to remember how it worked with EFA in the past when they had an MOU with the city. And so I looked back on one of the previous agendas from a few years back, and there was actually an item in the work plan to appoint several arts commissioners to be on the board of EFA. And I wondered if do you know if that was talked about at all? Is that?
That's not going to be done here. Yeah.
Is there? Okay.
There was talk about it on the board, and then I think it's pretty clear in the city that in the MOU there won't be like specific commissioner liaisons, and that the way forward was more through addressing the commissions, having relationships with the commissions, and being on work plans.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think the easiest way to go forward from here, unless there's any other questions, is to talk about this language, see if we want to make any other changes, and then we can move on to the work plan draft and vote and kind of go through that and include that language in it. And then we can potentially vote on the work plan draft to move forward to send to council for approval.
I had a question with just the language for the draft, if we could in some way expand that second line of explore grant funding and other fundraising opportunities. What does that, a little bit more clarification perhaps? In language, it seems really large to me. And I'm wondering, is there a benefit to keeping it large than something that is escaping me right now?
I think the benefit to keeping it large is just that it's on there. It can be a kind of an umbrella. And then as things come up specifically, we have the allowance to work on it. If we get very specific in the item, then if something does come up, then that's not drawn out, then we might be limited.
Right, I'm just trying to think of the intersection between our work, the commission's work plans funding section overlapping with this funding language. You know, and what is delineated, what is common, it's just a bit confusing for me.
I think I understand that confusion. I know when we spoke about, and we can look at it next, when we look at the draft of our work plan and the language about funding, that one is also, we're keeping the language very large, broad, I mean. And with that one, I think we will not assign an ad hoc, right? We had talked about just all being on that so that there can, so that funding can come from anywhere. So I think here it's anything that's not having to do with the Encinitas project would be covered still by the funding line item. Does that make sense? I don't know that I'm saying it very clearly.
Yeah, no, it does make sense. Yes, I think it does make sense.
I think the other fundraising opportunities has to do with explore grant funding and other fundraising opportunities, not other fundraising opportunities separate from the Encinitas project in this language.
Right. I'm just wondering if you're taking funding from the same pot. You know, if there's competition, you know, if there's a certain grant, then do the commissioners go to that grant from the commission or from EP?
So we as a commission can't apply for any grants except as individuals, and the city there's a lot of grants that the city cannot apply for because they're not a non-for-profit, or that only municipalities can apply for certain grants. So any fundraising that can go through a non-for-profit, the Encinitas project is a really viable option for those kinds of grants. And then there might be other fundraising things that are not having to do with a non-for-profit that we can help with and recommend to staff, and that would be covered in that other item.
Yeah, that makes it much more clear.
Okay.
So this is a very minor change, but I guess change commissioners with the ad hoc? If we're going to have an ad hoc assigned to this and not have all commissioners, is that right?
Yeah, we can do that.
I mean, I think in the other work plan items, we specifically
It
said
says the ad hoc. Okay. Do you just want to change the language to the ad hoc will work with staff to recommend projects and needs? I think that's more similar to what we have in other items. Okay.
Repeat it again. What do you think?
The ad hoc will work. And then it's all the same with staff to recommend. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I think that's right.
How about just ad hoc will recommend?
I think the ad hoc
Just a lot
has
of extra words, like will work to recommend.
Well, I'm going to push back on that a little bit. We can certainly recommend projects to staff, but I think it would more be in line with how the ad hocs work in general, is like work with staff to come up with ideas and think about what priorities are and then bring them to the Encinitas project, as opposed to
Just saying.
because if we just say that the ad hoc will recommend projects and needs that could be met, it's not really saying to whom we're recommending. So it's better to say we'll work with staff, since the Encinitas project is working so closely with staff, I think. Okay, I see some nods over in the staff booth.
Yeah, I think it was basically work with staff to recommend to the Encinitas project. So if we take out the work with staff, then we're just bypassing the staff, which we don't want to do.
So I think the only other thing is just adding, as ambassadors for city arts and culture initiatives, you could say all commissioners will participate in community outreach events. And I know Ross felt very strongly about promoting the Encinitas project's launch to the public. I think that will probably be an event, but it's at least just saying, okay, we're alive, right? So it can be probably just as easy as talking to people and sharing about it. Okay, so how does everyone feel about that language?
Read
Good.
the whole thing.
Please. Sorry, I've been mothering quite a bit lately. Commissioners, the ad hoc will work with staff to recommend projects and needs that could be met with aid from the Encinitas project, and will support the Encinitas project in their efforts to explore grant funding and other fundraising opportunities. As ambassadors for city arts and culture initiatives, all commissioners will participate in community outreach events and promote the Encinitas Project's 2025 launch to the public.
So, question, that does sound like they're two separate things, right? One that has an ad hoc and then one that's just for everyone.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of items like that. Okay, awesome. So we will move on to potentially finalize the 2025-26 work plan draft. And does anyone have... So we spoke about this last time, and Jennifer wasn't present, but listened. And is there anything new that you see? So let me say this. There were a few things. One thing that came, let's just go through it. Was there anything that anyone glaringly, when you looked at it, was like, no, I don't like this, or this is missing something? Okay. So So up on the screen that is our current work plan, but we need to go down to the Commission for the Arts draft work plan. Thank you. Great. So under arts advocacy, so I think probably under 2, we would have one be the Cultural Tourism Committee. That stays the same. Number 2 is assist and advise with potential outside funding opportunities that aligns with Commission art and culture staff and or City Council goals. So again, that just to clarify, that would be something that's separate from the things that are separate from the Encinitas project. And then I'd suggest that underneath that is number 3, we could add that Encinitas project language. Good.
I actually thought maybe that proposed language might be part of 2, Does it need to be its own separate?
I think it's better to keep it separate
Okay.
since it's its own organization.
Okay.
And there may be other opportunities for us to assist with funding that have nothing to do with the Encinitas projects. We haven't in the last year, but
Is it considered outside funding?
it is considered outside funding. Yep.
Okay.
But that was kind of speaking to NET's concern.
I see. Okay.
I asked staff about that too. I spoke with Colette saying, should it just all be one thing? Should we get rid of number 2? And it was clear that we wanted to keep, funding is a big deal this year. We wanted to keep as many options open. So,
Okay.
okay.
Just one possible suggestion along those lines, and I don't feel super strongly about this, but if it were to say number 2, the existing number 2 were to say potential additional outside funding opportunities, and maybe make that number 3 and make the new entity number 2.
Sure.
And then just would add a tiny extra bit of separation there. I mean, to demarcate the relationship between those two items, if you just add the word additional. Does that make sense?
Sorry, so you'd like number 2 under arts advocacy to be the Encinitas project
Yeah.
language, and number 3 to be this listed number 2 with what change?
To say as assist and advise with potential additional outside funding opportunities. So,
Sure.
in other words, anything
Not
that's
that, not number 2.
Yeah, the Encinitas project, yeah.
Sure.
That makes sense.
Jamie, did you get that? Okay. Great. So number 3, Encinitas is a cultural district, subject to council direction. I don't know that I need to read through all of these, or is it good for me to? What's helpful? Yeah. Yes. Okay. So the one about Encinitas Cultural District, that ad hoc members will join the city subcommittee if Encinitas is designated a California Cultural District or opts for self-appointment. I think what I'll do is run through all of these, and then I also want to run through them again, or maybe it seems silly to run through it again. As we talk about it, obviously this is just a draft that we can potentially vote to submit. Once it has been actually approved by council is when we'll get it back and it becomes our work plan, and then we would assign ad hocs. Before we vote on any draft, though, I do want to just get it to kind of take a litmus test and see who is interested in, to kind of get a sense of who might be interested in each, to make sure that there's nothing on our work plan that has zero interest, right? Like, a lot of these are great ideas, but there might not be the bandwidth to be like, yeah, I want to be on that ad hoc. So, and some of them are all, and you can just be working on them, but so 1 is good, 2 will be all, 2 will be an ad hoc with the Encinitas project. It sounds like there's interest. Is there interest to be on that ad hoc? Carla, I would probably be on it since I'm on the boards. That's probably just for the Brown Act stuff. Okay, so that's at least 2. That's fine. And Becky, okay. Again, we're not assigning tonight. I'm just making sure that people are into it. For the Encinitas as a cultural district, is there interest? Carla, Jim, and Robin. Okay, great. Commission, number 4, commission pop-ups. So commissioners will participate in the planning, setup, and operation of Commission for the Arts pop-up presence at city events, subject to availability, to promote and gather public input about city arts programs and initiatives, and grow public awareness of the commission. Okay, so Jennifer has interest in that. Does anyone else?
Oh, come on, I don't want to run myself. I'll struggle with the text.
I'll just say that, I would be interested in doing, like participating in a pop-up, but I don't think I'd be interested in doing the coordination of them, if that makes sense. I don't know if,
So you wouldn't want to plan it, but you'd want to show up on the day.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
just to say that I would support it in that way. I just don't think I have the bandwidth to do the planning.
Gotcha. Does anyone else have the bandwidth to do the planning? Because I also don't.
I think it would be good to have a good 3 people for that because there's a lot of events and stuff. And for like one person to go to everything would be really hard. It might be good to like rotate it. So hopefully we can find 3 people.
I mean,
in
we
time.
can open up like working the tabling to everyone, but I think you're right that there should be a robuster ad hoc in the planning as well.
So I will say this. I know the Encinitas project will want to, is again, from that language, is going to be at city events. And and would be happy to have commissioners to be there. And so that is an opportunity also to be there, and we could still collect public input, we could still share about city initiatives. I mean, that's basically what we would be doing. So, so one possibility, again, I think a goal for all of us is to have a work plan that we all feel really strongly about and can work on. So I would almost rather just take that pop-up off if no one's jumping at the chance to be on the ad hoc, other than Jennifer.
I would agree. Maybe we could just, change this language to say that, we can participate in, the pop-ups that are being coordinated by the Encinitas project.
I think that's redundant because I think any opportunities that would come up would the ad hoc who's working with the Encinitas project would bring them up and then say, hey, can
Okay.
anyone show up at this event?
Okay, yeah. I would be okay with removing it though.
Okay. Anybody else?
I think it makes logistic sense to remove it and just have,
Okay.
not have duplication.
Okay, great. So we would take number 4, the commission pop-ups, off. And just as a reminder, we have the opportunity to do a commissioner added agenda item. If something comes up and there's a city event and we really want to be present at it, we can ask staff to say, hey, is there room at the table? Is there room to set up another table? It doesn't preclude us from participating at all. Okay, so number 5, which would then become number 4, under arts advocacy, is identify and schedule artists and relevant speakers to present at regular commission meetings. And the ad hoc will compile and maintain a comprehensive list of artists, community members, organizational leaders, and businesses for commissioners to engage with for outreach and networking purposes.
I can be part of that also.
Okay, so there's interest there. Okay, great. So moving on to arts education. This is still the artist in residency program. It's just the language was changed a little bit so that it wouldn't cause confusion when applying for things, when talking to people about it. So, yeah.
Sticking with this name, or is this just a suggestion?
This is just a
Gotcha.
suggestion. Do you have a different one? Or yeah, let's do it now because this is the language that we would like to move, try to vote on.
Would we want featured artist?
Rotating featured artist?
Right, because, visiting, what does visiting really say? Because they might be local.
Right.
They're not really visiting. I think they're
Yeah.
really being featured.
I think featured artist is great.
This is specific to Pacific View.
Yes.
They could be visiting Pacific View,
Oh, I
guess. Is that
see.
the idea?
That was the idea when I
okay.
came up with it. But
Gotcha. That's a good point.
but featured, Featured works too. I don't know. I mean,
I think this is missing the Pacific View language, actually. That would be my suggestion, just to add that in there.
I agree.
Highlighted? Is that something? I'm just throwing it.
A very bright artist.
Yeah, exactly.
Staff, do you have any suggestions?
I currently don't have any suggestions.
Okay. Again, I mean, artists in residency, I think for all of us, it totally makes sense. But I know that people have been bumping into some challenges with it. And so this is just,
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah, because there is no residency.
right.
Yeah. And this, I don't feel strongly against rotating visiting artist program.
If you feel better about rotating featured artist program, I mean, that's just good.
What do
And
you
just
all
say
think?
at Pacific View.
Yeah, I like the featured artist.
Yeah, I like that. I think as long as we add in that Pacific View language to the title of the program, then any of them work for me. I like featured.
I'd like to make a recommendation.
Yeah.
By specifying Pacific View, it limits possibilities for other municipal sites.
Right. Which
So maybe we can say at Pacific View and other municipal sites.
in the title?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the language. So
Oh, I see.
research and advise city staff and city council on the feasibility of a rotating featured artist program at Pacific View Art Center and other municipal sites that does not have a habitation requirement. Da, 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 da.
Perfect, yeah.
Okay.
I have a question, and I don't know if we're not going to, if I'm bringing it up at the wrong time, but on our previous work plan under arts education, there was an ad hoc that we didn't have any activity, but it was review program submission and make a recommendation on acceptance. And I would hate to lose that, and I'm wondering if we could keep an ad hoc in there that we would review program and maybe not submissions, but successes or activities, so that we would be available if they're looking at what's going on at Pacific View. And I don't know if that's something that we've already lost, but we fought pretty hard to get that on there, and it's gone.
I think what we had on there was about community programming, right?
It was item 6, it just said review program submissions. And I noticed it's gone now. So it would be item.
There was one about reviewing if there was redundancy in the submissions for, like, the example was used for a watercolor class. If there were 6 applicants to do a watercolor class where the class was exactly the same, then it would come to the commission. I think if that happens again, could come to us and be placed on our agenda, but it never happened. And it just seems like, why should we have it on our work plan when it was just something that never actually occurred?
I thought it was also related to the start of Pacific View, like the programming that was going to be offered as part of its launch. So now that it's launched, maybe there's less of a need.
And
I just thought it was interesting that we would support the education programs, and that we kind of we are operating as advisors, and so losing the ability to have advisors in the city's education programs seems like it would be a loss to the city. Even if they don't use us, at least it's there. But that's my point. And
It sort of sounds like what you're looking for isn't necessarily the same thing that number 6 was. Can that be? Like, I think number 6 was specifically just if there was a redundancy in the teaching, like teachers, like more than one teacher wanting to teach a specific thing. Are you looking for something that kind of says if there's, or says sort of, if something comes up and our advice or research is required or requested for one of the programs, that you'd like to leave that open?
Not really. I was just saying that oversight or some sort of, not oversight is the bad word, but a way to be participating in art education programs, because now with the loss of that line item, we're not having any impact at all with Pacific View. I know they didn't use us, but they were also so stretched that that might be something that in the future they might Pacific View might want, or any of the art education programs might want some commission involvement. So I just think losing that is kind of sad. But if no one else wants it, that's how I read it.
So again, I don't think the language that, this is about sharing program proposal process with potential teaching artists, which we're all doing. But the second part of it, I understand what you're saying, Vicki, which is at the request of city staff, an ad hoc will review teaching and artist program submissions and make recommendations on acceptance. Even though it was understood that would be about if there were multiples that would come our way, the language is that if staff asks for it, we will review and make recommendations. And that is still something that the staff can do, even if it's not on a work plan. Nonetheless, on number 5, we also did work really hard to include other community engagement programs at Pacific View Art Center by researching existing programs and gathering information such as program structure, funding sources, et cetera, et cetera. Very little work was done on that ad hoc in the past year, and I think even the ad hoc was not exactly sure for that community engagement programming what that should be. We had a lot of ideas. We did put forth something pretty robust to City Council. So I see your point, and I just don't know. It seems like we would want to come up with a new item, which would then have to be approved by staff and go, move forward, which I'm not opposed to. I'm just not sure, what would it be?
Well, I was just thinking you could just change the word review program submission to review program status, or
I think,
there's a word that's more broad, because at that point it was just the submissions, but now the program, if there's anything that comes up that changes or realities, but I'm just saying that it would be nice to be part of our work plan. But I didn't speak up last week because I didn't realize that it was going to be stripped out completely. But now I understand that I might have missed it, and I just feel like it's kind of a loss to not have that there.
well, I'm glad to hear you speaking up. We want to use very specific language if we have an item like this, because any programming as far as status is concerned is very much in the operational realm, which is not our realm. So again, our realm as far as advising is important and valuable, but
Doesn't work here.
well, no, it's not that it doesn't work there. It's just the verbiage has to be very specific, and I don't know what that is. Let's pause on that, move through the rest of it, and see if something mulls, and then we'll come back to it. So I'm just putting a little pin in number 6. By number 6. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on to public art, number 7, which says A, B, and C. This is support city's public art policy by reviewing city and privately funded art projects and donations, and providing input and recommendations to staff and city council for their approval. So separate ad hocs may be formed for each project. So we have the sculpture loan program, and that's just continuing to present to city council, hopefully in April or May, and see what the next direction, if any, is. Number B, which is letter B, privately funded. And there's a research the feasibility and funding of a city mural program, and research feasibility and funding of a city asphalt art program. Again, locations, program models, funding sources, outreach, public outreach methods are all part of that. Is there just, again, interest for the mural? Mural?
Yeah, me too. For the
Okay. Again, we're not assigning ad hoc, we're just making sure that there's more than one person who's interested. And for the asphalt arts, is there interest?
I have a question about the mural program. Is there going to be a sculpture? Well, there is the sculpture. What I'm saying is there is the sculpture loan now, revamped process. Is there going to be a one created likewise in some kind of way for the mural?
That is why it's on there. So right now there is absolutely no city mural project, city mural program, I mean to say. And so we have decided, since it's been a topic of discussion and it has come our way via donations and other avenues, to say, hey, this is something the city might want, and we will work to make some recommendations. That's what that is. As well as the city asphalt arts program. The city has never had an asphalt arts program, but it works in other cities to increase safety, and it's basically, ground murals, and very interesting stuff going on all over the world, frankly, with that. So that was another thing that am I not understanding the question?
I was just, well, the meeting that I missed the last time you guys presented the SLP with the slides and everything, and you created the process. So I was just curious if there could be clear wording about for creating some kind of process, viable process for the mural program. So it's uniform.
Under each of these projects, the mural program and the arts program is the second part. That second part is not attached to the asphalt arts. It's for the mural program and the asphalt. Each ad hoc will recommend program models, which I think is what you're talking about, potential locations, outside funding sources, and public outreach methods, and work with other city commissions as directed. That I put in there just because I know asphalt arts does do a lot with safety and road work, and so we might need to do
maybe move those two lines up next to privately funded as a kind of like a definition of that. Just move it up alongside B. Just a format thing.
Okay. Does anyone else? That's fine.
Yeah.
It says each ad hoc, so there will be a separate ad hoc for each one of those. So I don't understand why there's confusion, actually. I think it usually makes more sense to have what the thing is and then what you're going to do, as opposed to what you're going to do for each thing. I don't know.
Oh, well, yeah. When we have it like in that, the format that we're going to use, like, this, it'll make sense. It'll look better. I mean, it will lay out better. I just am saying.
Okay.
This is just a Word document, so don't mind me. Yeah, we'll move on.
Okay. Does anyone else?
It just seems as though as long as we understand what we're doing, that's the important thing, right? So I think we'll be able to remind ourselves that applies to both tasks. So Yeah.
I mean, we can add, for each program, each separate ad hoc. I don't know. I think the language is there, and so we're covered to work on it, and we'll all get it. Okay. And then public art donations, I feel confident that there will be an ad hoc who wants to continue with the donations. Performing arts, youth piano concerto competition. That's just continued work with Jennifer and then anyone else who would want to hop on there.
We had talked a little bit about like adding different other means of performing arts, like theater and dance. I don't know. Is there any way to kind of broaden our horizon there with more? Because performing arts is not
We've
just
had
limited to music.
I'd say we've had a few months now to be thinking about this and brainstorming, and if there is something that you would like to add, I'd ask that you would give some language to it and actually an item to share with all of us to think about. At this point, brainstorming about those things. I think there are places for them. Art night is one where there's a lot of performing arts and a lot of opportunity to share and mold programming around such things. But I don't. If you have something specific to recommend, I think we're all very happy to consider it. But at this point,
Just throwing it out there.
okay. So I mean, I don't know of any dance programs that we're thinking about or anything like that. Does anyone feel the city has expressed need for us to work on something like that?
I'll just say that I think it would be great to expand, working on performing arts. I think we just only have so much capacity in the commission, and there are some other items on here that just seem like they're in more need of our, support or recommendation. So I guess I would say maybe let's revisit it as we go through this year. Let's consider where are the gaps where we could be supporting more performing arts, and then come back to it when we're ready to consider the next work plan. Because I agree with you. I think we're probably too far along maybe to add it for this year, but I think it's important.
Yeah, I understand.
I think that's well said. Thank you. And for sure, I think that's, as chair, I'm going to really come up with a calendar is the word, so that we don't miss those things, so we're always looking forward and understand okay, let's start talking about certain things.
Speaking of calendar, excuse me, it's around 6:30. What do you think? Are we going to be able to get through to 7 o'clock, or?
I'd go ahead and extend it. Do you want to make a motion?
Sure, make a motion I'd like to make a motion to extend to 7:30, just to give us some safety net time.
I'll second.
Let the record show that the motion to extend the meeting by 30 minutes to 7:30 passes unanimously.
Thank you. Now I just lost my work plan thing. Thank you. Okay, so sorry, I'm being a Luddite here. All right. So moving on to visual arts. Number 9, art night. Participate in artist outreach, gather public input about public interest, and share recommendations with staff. just a show of hands who might be interested in being on that ad hoc.
Would that be an ad hoc or maybe an all? What do you think?
It could be all. I know staff would really appreciate input and working with, and so in that sense, an ad hoc I think would be more effective as far as not having to navigate around the Brown Act as far as if people were showing up at meetings. And okay, so Jennifer would be interested in Robin, perhaps. Okay, so there's enough interest there. Again, I think staff has expressed that this is something that they'd really like our recommendation and advice on, positive and negative, like just how to make this better, what's working, what's not working, what could it become, what, all sorts of things. So it's also an opportunity to bring any ideas for programming or events or whatever it is into the mix and kind of have some creative ideas, have a landing pad. Okay, so number 10, visual art selection panel. I think that's pretty straightforward because that happens every year and it's been so successful. Number 11, same with the student art exhibition, City Hall, because that's at City Hall, that's ongoing, right? Okay. The literary arts, free and low cost literary programming. This is research programming subject to outside funding to be held at city venues and locations, and make recommendations to council that include potential outside funding sources and avenues of public outreach. The funding, it's a little bit redundant there. I know the funding is a really important one for any added programming, and that's why that reads like that. So yeah, any sort of programming, even that is like a volunteer or free programming, say that would happen at Pacific View, still comes with the costs of having staff present and having the building open. So that's why even a free program would still need to have fundraising attached to it. But is that something that people are interested in being on?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. That I put it on there for you guys. No. Not put it on there, but suggested, you know what I mean? Okay, and then the city council ones, that's just on every work plan, except for the bylaws. That's just continuing. We did vote on that tonight, and then the work plan outcomes and a new work plan happens every time. What was I going to say? So that feels pretty good. And we went through, I feel confident that everyone will be excited to dive in. And do you want to go ahead and vote on making the recommendation to submit this draft work plan to City Council for their approval? Okay. So I'll go ahead and make a motion to vote for the recommendation to submit this draft work plan 25-26 to City Council for their approval.
Actually, I have a question because we did talk about some words. Are we talking about this exact document, or are we talking about some of the revisions that we talked about, that we discussed here?
Well, I know
some specific wording,
yeah, I thought that's
some
what we were doing, but if there's something we're missing.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if we're going to vote on it, are we voting on this draft or the draft with the suggested revisions?
Maybe
draft.
just state your motion and
Sure.
include the requested revisions that you discussed tonight.
So I'll make a motion to vote for the recommendation to submit this draft work plan, which includes all of the suggested revisions to City Council for their approval. Yeah, thank you.
I'll second.
Let the record show that the motion passes unanimously with all commissioners voting yes.
Thank you. Thanks for adding that. Okay, and so we will move on to the outcomes. Again, this one, I realized literally an hour before it needed to be into Colette that it had to be that Thursday night and not the next Monday morning. So the document that is attached here is as best as I could do very quickly without like going back over the meeting and revisiting the language. So please make any edits. And one, I believe only one is missing. And also if there's been any more work done, then it can be added, so.
Yeah. I watched the video, and you had mentioned, well, you received the, okay, you got the 8, but also I see the 9 is missing. And Commissioner Aber and I just emailed each other and to confirm some wording for that.
Great.
Would you like that?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. And it's using some of the wording that he said.
And just so you know, we can hear it, agree upon it, and then also I can email that language
Sure.
to Jamie or and is that the easiest thing to do rather than you writing down this whole thing?
Are you
Whichever.
a fast?
I don't know.
Do you take dictation pretty fast? Yeah?
Okay.
Okay. I'll slow it down. Okay. Under the key guidance of Commissioner Vice Chair Morakovitz, is it Commissioner Vice Chair or is it Vice Chair Commissioner? I don't know.
I think you just say Vice Chair Morakovitz.
Okay.
Although it,
Whatever. Under the key guidance of Vice Chair Morakovitz, the City of Encinitas Youth Piano Concerto Competition was successfully launched in 2024 through a partnership with the North Coast Symphony. The competition yielded a response with several talented applicants, 9 finalists, and 3 outstanding winners, resulting in a performance on June 15th, 2024 at the Community Center. Vice Chair Morakovitz led the ad hoc efforts as originator, key planner, and chief commission liaison for the competition, and ad hoc member Commissioner Aber assisted with media outreach for the project. The competition's second edition is in progress for 2025.
It's also recorded, so I can go back.
Okay. And I was, sorry, my wording was a little disjointed because I'm like going back and forth, you know? Okay.
I think that language is great. I might take out some of the adjectives just because the outcomes are just like kind of saying like the outstanding performers. That is all absolutely true and makes it exciting and is awesome. But it's just as far as this is what happened and these are the outcomes. This is what we worked on. I don't think it needs to be quite so embellished. I don't know how I will.
Okay, we can take out the details. Like the stats. We can take the stats out.
The stats are absolutely important,
Okay.
but
Yes.
Just the
take out what
adjective.
you would like.
I'm just looking at all the other outcomes. It's just very facts, and so I don't have the language in front of me, but.
Yeah, I'm just going by what Commissioner Aber wrote.
What about the
Last
forward, continuing for 2025? Since it's a past outcome, the last sentence seems like.
It is continuing, and we are putting the draft on our draft work
Okay,
plan, so I think
should
that's.
that go on all of our continuing programs? I mean, I don't know, it just seems odd that it would be only on one. That's a continuing program.
Well, she's currently working on the program that will be in action. So it's like the visual arts panel has been done, and then a new one will come about. But for like the sculpture loan program, we did mention that we're going to be giving it to City Council next. Is there another one? Because there's a good point if there's other missing ones that are in continuation.
No, the in continuation parcel, I mean,
I think, well, I mean, the rotating featured artist, that's continuing for sure.
Right.
yeah.
Sculpture loan program, I guess, I mean, it isn't completely completed, but I guess we mentioned how it continues.
Just that it's in the past, so.
I think we did complete like this work plan year for the sculpture loan program. Like we made the recommendations like for the program's pieces, so that part of it's concluded. I think the carryover is like the process. So just to make the delineation, maybe.
Yeah, we have forthcoming in April, May. Shared recommendations. I mean, we could.
So, sorry, I just wanted to mention, so ad hoc 5, artists in residence, it said shared recommendations to commission forthcoming. So I wanted to cross off the forthcoming because I did that at the last one. That was to
Great.
commission, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's not supposed to be there.
Is that noted? Okay.
For the final outcomes, for the performance, since we're just talking about outcomes, we don't need to talk about what's going to be happening. And I think that just complicates everything else. So to remove that last line,
Okay. So do you want to read it one more time without the?
The last.
Does that make? And just without the maybe, Jim, did you want to?
Yeah, without the adjectives we were talking about and without that last line.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
Yeah, so I think it's really like 2, maybe 3 words that we can easily drop. So I think it would read, do we want the whole thing from the top? Do you want to hear that again? Okay. Under the key guidance of Commission Vice Chair Morakovitz, the City of Encinitas Youth Piano Concerto Competition was successfully launched in 2024 through a partnership with the North Coast Symphony. The competition yielded a response of 24 applicants, 9 semifinalists, and 3 winners of each concerti, resulting in a sold-out performance on June 15th, 2024 at the community center. And again, I don't know if all those details are necessary, but
I think that's great.
there we have it. Okay. Commission Vice Chair Morakovitz led the ad hoc efforts as originator, key planner, and chief commission liaison for the competition. And ad hoc member Commissioner Hebert assisted with media outreach, period.
Oh, the
And
only
then-
thing that, I took out before, I wasn't, actually, I would need confirmation. Maybe Supervisor Roberts might be able to confirm. Do you remember if it was 24? Was it 24 applicants last year?
I'm sorry, I can't remember, but I can look it up for you.
So anyway, that's just a little detail. I was wondering if we can have it or not, or just say several applicants. 24 seems to stick in my mind, but just if this is going, I want to have like verified stats, if
Yeah, I mean, we
I'm
could just say like numerous applicants.
But I know
or-
that there were 9 finalists and obviously 3 winners.
Okay.
Do we want
I
to
think
just say
that's-
like
go ahead.
numerous, something like that, so we don't have to have homework of checking on the number, which may be elusive.
Yeah. That's why I originally said several. I'm sorry, when I emailed you, then I went back and kind of tweaked it again. So that's what happened, because I wasn't sure about the 24. If it, I mean, it could have been 25, so, but anyway, that's why I said several talented applicants.
I mean, that's fine. I feel like numerous, if it's close to 24, then numerous is probably a better word, so.
Okay. Numerous.
Sounds good.
Shall we just email you that?
I think.
Do you want to
Jamie has
read it? Do you want to read it off? What?
Well, I've taken short notes, but it is recorded live, so I can go back and write it verbatim
Okay.
if you prefer. I mean, I'll do that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And then I think the only change is for the bylaws, ad hoc 13, since we did review and vote tonight. So we brought to our March 2025 meeting for discussion and I guess voted, right? And voted by the approval of the full commission to recommend with one caveat. I don't know, like that language, what could that be? And voted pending,
You said it, pending addition of a line item addressing special meetings and the process by which they are called.
right.
Is that
Does
what-
that need to be in that detail for the outcome?
If it's the outcome, I would think so, yes.
Okay, great. So we'll just
We could
add that. Mm-hmm.
that same verbiage.
Thank you.
Yes.
And just for ad hoc 12, was there any change to that language?
Before we go there, did we miss, can we go from the top or do we need
Oh,
to?
sorry. Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I feel like we're kind of jumping around and I don't know if you still needed the cultural tourism. I think I provided some wording last time, but I've got it here with me
Great.
for that. And,
Yeah, I don't know where we are. Let's start from 1. That's great.
okay. Not to preempt 12. I don't have anything against 12, but I feel like we're been a little bit scattered. So I think that wording as you have it is fine. I'm not sure I actually went to all the meetings, but if you want to put that in there.
Again,
Yeah.
this was me doing it in like 30 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
And, just doing my best to remember. So it doesn't, and I had like barely any notes. So if you have
Yeah.
the language that you want it to be, we can completely rewrite it or just, you
Yeah,
just need
no,
to read it out loud and that's all.
No, I don't think we don't need to spend time on that. I think we could take out the word all, just for pure accuracy's sake.
Good.
And otherwise I think it's fine.
Okay. So number 2, I think that was okay. Number 3, Jim, do you have language for the art night to fill in?
Yeah. So this is pretty simple. Commissioner Hebert participated in getting the word out on art night happenings via social media and other outlets. That enough? That's
Yeah, if that's
Pretty much.
what you did, then
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Number 4, that is the language we used in the last meeting. Number 5, that language also came directly, I had that in an email, so that's copied and pasted. Same with community engagement. Number 6, arts education, I believe that was also pasted. Number 7, Pacific View. that's all good. Sculpture loan program, that was pasted from, I was on that. The donations, I believe that was also pasted. The performing arts, that was pasted. And then number 9 for the performing arts, we just went through. Number 11, are we missing a 10 there?
Just going to say, what is ad hoc 10? Did we miss one?
It walked away. I'm sure that was my oversight when I was doing that. Where's the work plan? Okay, no ad hoc for that, thank you. And then number 11 is good. Number 12.
I'd have a small change. In going with our continuing to meet and work kind of discussion we had about item 9. I'd like to say that Commissioners Campbell, Kadakia, and Vice Chair Morakovitz assisted staff and Encinitas Student Advisory Panel and have established a standing bi-weekly meeting with students.
Awesome. And then number 13, we changed, and that is that. So would someone else like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Motion to approve the, I want to make sure I'm saying it right. This is our report of work completed for the 24-25 work plan and outcomes. I move to approve the outcomes with the revisions for the 24-25 work plan.
I'll second that. Morakovitz.
I'm just waiting for one more vote. Let the record show that the motion passes unanimously with all commissioners voting yes.
Thank you. Okay, awesome. So that work plan is done. All right, and that completes our action items for the evening. Woohoo! So we will move on to number 9, which are informational items, and 9A, the Cultural Arts Division Report by Assistant Center Manager Nemero. Britt Manor.
Good evening, everybody. Quick update on Pacific View Art Center. We are beginning our spring art camp here soon for kids ages 6 to 9. This will be the first time we've ever held art camp at Pacific View. It will be from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday, and we will offer visual arts, fiber arts, printmaking, collage, felting, weaving, and each child will be able to create their own tote bag that they will be taking all of their projects home in. And then we will also be having a summer art camp, which is 8 weeks long, and each week will have its own theme. So we have themes such as fierce fairy tales, mermaids and mariners, aliens in outer space, flowers, plants, trees, and bees. And the children will be having their lunch at the Moonlight Beach Park. We will have an aftercare program. And weeks 1 through 7 of camp will have the opportunity to exhibit their work at Art Night on April 5th.
I have a quick question. What week does summer camp start? What's the first of the 8 weeks?
Let me check on that for you.
And when did registration open for that?
Registration opened on March 3rd.
Okay. Today. And any information about how full it?
The camps are filling up very quickly.
It's great to hear because I know so many summer camps, like they fill up, like I saw moms in tears today being like, oh my God, we didn't get into any, you know? So you can still get into city art camps.
Week 1 of summer camp begins June 16th.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'd like to update you on our calendar. We have our Wednesdays at noon continuing through March on the 5th, 12th, 19th and 26th at Encinitas Library. There's a great collection of jazz and piano and classical in the mix for March. So if you can get there and get a seat, feel free. Again, it's our free program at noons in the community room in the library. On March 21st, we have our Music by the Sea concert, and this month it is music by Christian Fatu, who is an incredible violinist. The concerts have been selling out, so I would advise, again, if you're interested in that concert, to grab your ticket ahead of time. We have been turning people away from the doors, which is new for us this year. Very exciting. And we have Art Night coming up April 5th. Our schedule is ready. I will happily share that with you all this week so you know what's coming up. We've done some great work with our exhibiting artists. They have done interviews and we're hoping to profile them on our social medias. So that's new for this year and very exciting. I also wanted to share that we partnered with Vet Art, and Trish is here in the audience, who is fantastic. So that's Art in the Park, and that will begin on March 15th. There are flyers up in our city sites. I do believe I shared a flyer with you, but I will send an update as our new date now is March 15th. Yes, and Trish has got, maybe we can give everybody one of those, that'd be great. And then we have our piano competition coming up very fast. We currently have 2 submissions. We're hoping to get a few more. And if you could spread the word for that, that would be great. And to let you know also that we did our 2 Sculpture Loan Programme installations. They are visible. Again, we did some great social media for that. And one of our arts coordinators created some reels that will be going out on the city socials very soon, but you can see Neptune Junior at Leucadia Oaks Park, and you can see Wingman at Sun Vista Park. So I hope you get a chance to go and see the sculptures.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I don't have any information about the fire department.
Okay, so so moving on to number 10, Commissioner Member Initiated Agenda Item. I don't believe we have any.
There are none.
And likewise, no future agenda items added by Commission members.
There are none.
No. So we'll move on to Commissioner reports. I'll just start, and maybe we can go down the line this way. As far as the Sculpture Loan Program, I did go to the very end of the install at Leucadia Oaks, and so that was fun just to see Sergey and his son, and just chat with him. He was excited. He was excited to do programming and maybe a lecture on site. And I also, since I live close to there, I was there another day, and there were about 15 skaters. And so I went up and just chatted with them, and they were all like very intrigued, and they just thought it was yeah, very exciting. They were digging it, and they used some language that I won't use here, but but I almost took some videos, and then I didn't. But yeah, like very punk rock, and just thought that it was very suiting to a skate park, and so that was cool to hear straight from their mouths.
Well, let's see. Sometimes I take a little break from playing piano and things like that, and try something new. So I think I'll just share this. I'm really happy at my work. I'll just a little something about my work. I was able to obtain a grant to get a world drumming kit. So I'm becoming a drummer. And I have a whole classroom full of drums and of all kinds, and been working with my students on that, and my hands are just so sore at the end of the day. Having lots of fun.
Katie, you took my my item. I also went down to Leucadia Oaks Park and really enjoyed looking at the sculpture, which somebody was able to get in motion. So we watched it moving around, and that was very exciting. And I think that the skateboarder children that were there were having fun, and they said that they're almost every day. So they're going to share that. They asked when it went in, and it was the same day. So it was really exciting. Took a photo and posted it on some social media sites to let others know that it's up.
Sadly, I don't have any experiences to share, but I just wanted to comment on the staff report of all of the upcoming activities for kids. I just wanted to say that I think it's amazing, and kids in Encinitas have it really nice being able to participate in all those activities and get to eat lunch by the beach. Pretty good. So just wanted to say kudos on that.
So the Cultural Tourism Committee meeting is this Thursday. It seems to always be like the same week right after our meeting. So I won't have anything to report until next time around on that. Just wanted to second the very cool sounding things that are going on, and the vet art project. When Jess sent out the email on that, I was really interested to see that that's going on. It sounds like a really great program. So looking forward to helping publicize that. And I think you said there might be some updates. So yeah, so thank you.
No, I don't think it's an update, but I received a fellowship, was awarded a fellowship for the Global Art and Medicine program for 2025. And that sort of enables me to connect globally with just different leaders and policymakers and scientists that work with art and medicine. And they're going to be having, what is it called? The word is escaping. A conference in September in Brazil. So if I can figure out how to get there, I have been approved to make a poster presentation on art and psychotherapy. So it's similar to our commission work, but I think I'm getting to experience how different countries deal with art differently. So it's fascinating for me. Yeah. Thank you.
Congratulations. Arts manager Colette and we participated in San Diego Art Matters, local art agency learning network. It's quite a title. So it's a year-long program, and there have been 2 meetings so far. We meet once a month, and they've been really helpful and amazing. The first one was about cultural policy, and so there were a lot of speakers there from LA and from the state of California. And then this last one was on grant writing, so a lot of great things to be taken from that.
You repeat what was that called? What was
So there's a
You were writing
nonprofit
it down.
called.
Yeah, what was the name of it
So
again?
there's a nonprofit called Art Matters, San Diego Art Matters, and they are doing a local arts agency learning network. So the local arts agencies are, for example, municipalities, and it's all within the county of San Diego. So we're participating as Encinitas, and there are other municipalities that are participating. Some of them are very established, and some of them are less established, and it's basically everybody kind of sharing their knowledge and getting to know each other and growing as a group.
All right. And that concludes our commissioner reports, and I think that was the first time we all had them, and very robust and awesome ones. So it's going to be a good year. All right. We will conclude this meeting tonight at 7:05. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.